Okay, we're going live now. Uh-oh.
No, not at all.
How did that happen?
Okay, so just go to your screen, pin.
So, excuse me.
May I?
It says pin. I'm pinned here.
Okay. And do you have it set on speaker? Oh, yep. Okay.
Speaker.
Yeah. So then,
there's
I
cat.
would do a mute here. Next one over. That's fine too. So just that button right there.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, that should be good.
There it goes. Okay. Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is I'm Aya Sivijana, and this is Aya Nyanika at Pasadi Vihara, and we're going to be looking at a sutta, possibly two suttas, extracts from one, and reading through the complete sutta and discussing it one in more detail. And the first one is Māluṅkyaputta Sutta, and a Māluṅkyaputta appears a number of times in the suttas. In the Majjhima Nikaya, there's the Chula and the Maha Māluṅkyaputta, and those are more well known. But this one relates to a more well-known sutta, the Bahia Sutta, the teaching in brief that this Bahia was an ascetic, and he was named by the Buddha as the fastest to attain. He heard a very brief teaching, and he became fully enlightened. But Māluṅkya is pretty slow. he was, yeah. So you'll see in the sutta that the way the Buddha is speaking to him is because what was it that was saying? I listened to a talk. Oh, it was Ayasobana at Buddhist Insights at the Empty Cloud Monastery, and she spoke about this sutta, and she said that she thought that he was somewhat of a intellectual, and he wanted to more debate and understand philosophical questions. Oh, and the Buddha called those speculative views. And so it took him quite a while, I think, for him to attain. So we'll go to the sutta, and that'll be somewhat self-explanatory.
And you're welcome to have your camera on or off. If you speak with your camera on, your image will appear in the recording. That's the tech.
Did you say something about my?
I was giving the tech instructions. Aya's got a
blockage. I have blockage
in
in my ears, so I'm having a hard time hearing. So, so we are going to share. Okay. So there is the sutta. I hope everyone can see that.
Yes.
And okay, I'm trying to move something here out of the way. It doesn't want to move. There it goes. All right. So, would you please read?
Sure. Then the Venerable Māluṅkyaputta approached the Blessed One and said to him, "Venerable Sir, it would be good if the Blessed One would teach me the Dhamma in brief, so that having heard the Dhamma from the Blessed One, I might dwell alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent, and resolute." "Hear now, Māluṅkyaputta," What should I say to the young bhikkhus when a bhikkhu like you, old, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, come to the last stage, asking me for an exhortation in brief?
Okay, would you stop there? Yeah, so this is a frequently seen in the teach in the suttas where a monk or a bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, lay people will ask for a teaching in brief, or they'll hear a teaching in brief from the Buddha, and it'll trigger the awakening because they're ripe, they're ready. But I think Māluṅkyaputta had been coming to the Buddha probably asking, and he's or demanding answers to certain questions and things like that. So now he's getting kind of a gentle scolding here.
Yeah, I also think of it kind of as a almost a humorous chiding, kind of a prodding. Yeah, you've been here so many times and you've asked so many questions, and you are getting near the end. And so this exhortation of just a reminder, hey, you are old, dude.
Right.
Give up the philosophy and start the practice.
So I think also there's a sense of urgency, which you'll see here in the next paragraph. That's because
he knows too. I'm old.
knows too.
Got to do it.
So would you read that next one,
Sure.
please?
Although, Venerable Sir, I am old, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, come to the last stage, let the Buddha teach me the Dhamma in brief. Let the fortunate one teach me the Dhamma in brief. Perhaps I may understand the meaning of the Blessed One's statement. Perhaps I may become an heir to the Blessed One's statement.
So this heir to the Blessed One that becomes a noble disciple. This is another thing that Ayasopana had mentioned. And that we're heir to the teaching, to the Dhamma, not to the material things. Because at the time of the Buddha got to a point where he's so well known and respected, and anyone that was associated with him might be lavished with offerings. And so some people actually came to the Sangha with the desire for material things.
For healthcare, or yeah.
And so he gave this scolding too to some monastics, not to be an heir to material things, but to the Dhamma.
What do you think, Māluṅkyaputta? Do you have any desire, lust, or affection for those forms cognizable by the eye that you have not seen and never saw before, that you do not see and would not think might be seen? No, Venerable Sir. Do you want to read through?
So, yeah. So this is kind of like, you're almost like a koan in a way. Like you have to kind of, or prod for some kind of a like insight practice. If you're thinking about it's something, oh, well, especially when you read this entire, because things that I haven't seen, I've heard about, I might know about, somebody might have tell me about something, and I might want to, like, oh, I was on vacation, and, I was here, and there was, like some kind of geographical features and whatever, I've never been to Hawaii, and the temperature is this, and the water is this color, and that's all this, the sand is fine, and all. Oh, I have to go and see that and experience that. But no, keep going, keep reading. He says,
let me say on site, because it's an easy example.
huh?
On site, an easy example, because at first I was thinking, well, it also includes your imagination. So
Right.
can you imagine it? Like, probably none of us have actually seen a pink elephant. But because we use the phrase so much, we can probably all imagine a pink elephant. And there could be a desire to, what state would I need to get in to see a pink elephant? So it really is a koan of what are we clinging to, what are we letting go, that we'll see later in there. Is at first I was thinking, well, what about the imagination? But that really is included here. There are things beyond our imagining. There's a story, a document of when ships first came to a land that had never seen big sailing ships before. And they landed on the land and they were standing with the people who were native to that land and they were pointing to the ships. The native people could not see and interpret what those ships were because they had no notion of what that could be. And so, they had, I think the story was that they had to take them out to the ship for them to understand what a ship was. It wasn't within the imagining of their culture at that time.
But anyway, would you read the next paragraph, please?
Do you have any desire, lust, or affection for those sounds cognizable by the ear that you've never seen or never heard or never thought you could hear? So put that up beyond on each one of these.
Yes, it's
For those odors cognizable by the nose, for those tastes cognizable by the tongue, for those tactile objects cognizable by the body, for those mental phenomena cognizable by the mind that you have not cognized and never cognized before, that you do not cognize and would not think might be cognized.
this would be included with the imagination.
Yes.
And so this is kind of a koan. In the Zen tradition, they
Can you
pose a
imagine?
question to you that's like impossible for the intellect to perceive.
Mhm.
And so this is like, it might be a jolt, like a jolt to the, how could I possibly cognize something that, this is, have not cognized, that you do not cognize and you would not think you might even cognize. Can you cognize that? It's kind of like, that's it,
Mhm.
shaking up the intellect a little bit.
Mhm.
And so would you have a desire for that? And then of course, so desire less affection. So it's the things that we've had contact with already, things that we know that we are desiring or have affection for or have aversion for. But this is like a training too. So if it's in your consciousness, if you're cognizing it, if I'm remembering something, but then it's like the pink elephant too. The mind starts to elaborate and make it more wonderful or make it more irritating, or the mind latches onto it and proliferates and makes it either more desirable or less desirable than it might actually be. So this is the pithy teaching here.
So he's answered no, Venerable Sir, to all of these sense gates. Then, when Māluṅkyaputta, regarding these seen, heard, sensed, and cognized by you, in the seen, there will be merely the seen. In the heard, there will be merely the heard. In the sensed, there will be merely the sensed. In the cognized, there will be merely the cognized, free from craving and aversion and proliferation. Then, Māluṅkyaputta, you will not be by that. When Māluṅkyaputta, you are not by that, then you will not be therein. When Māluṅkyaputta, you are not therein, then you will be neither here, nor beyond, nor in between the two. This itself is the end of suffering.
So I inserted this free from craving and aversion and proliferation. So this is the aim when we're guarding the sense gates. It's that we do see, we do hear, we do sensed. Is the other senses the taste, touch, and smell, according to the commentaries anyway. Everything else that's sensed and cognized. So, so when if I see something and I merely see it, and then I cognize, this is easy to grab. I see a cup, I know it's a cup, and there's just the knowledge that there's a cup. But then I don't have a desire, aversion, arising, or proliferation around the cup. It's just simply seeing, simply hearing a sound. But I would know, I would recognize the fan is, I can't hear. I, I've had this ear blockage for a while because I'm having to soften the earwax before they're going to remove it. But when I pull out my ear, then suddenly I'm aware of all this sound. And so then I can recognize, oh, so the recognition of, oh, that's the microwave, or that's the fan, or that's, whatever I'm hearing. There's a cognition of it. It's not this, I'm just like oblivious. I'm just sensing things without knowing what they are. What would be the point of having the five senses? They help us navigate in the world. But if the sense restraint is very acute, then it just stays at that sense. And then the Māluṅkyaputta breaks out in poetry. And this is when people understand at the time of the Buddha, they would do these things. It was something that people did. Maybe they still do. But anyway, here is, would you read?
Okay. I understand in detail, Venerable Sir, the meaning of what was stated by the Blessed One in brief. Having seen a form with mindfulness muddled, attending to the pleasing sign, one experiences it with infatuated mind and remains tightly holding to it. Many feelings flourish within, originating from the visible form, covetousness, and annoyance as well, by which one's mind becomes disturbed. For one who accumulates such suffering, Nibbāna is said to be far away.
So could you stop there, please? Yeah. So this one, Sayadaw Ujagara called it muddied mindfulness. I thought that was nice. So having seen it with mindfulness muddled, this is asati, this is lacking mindfulness. So this is keying us into what skill is developed with sense restraint. We're really bringing our mindfulness to situation. It's not muddled up with all our opinions, all our, what's pleasing, what's displeasing. And so what happens when we attend, like I start looking about what's maybe not the cup itself, but what's in the cup, and then desire and attachment, and how I have to have my coffee or whatever if I'm drinking just the right of this and this, that, and the other thing, and what kind of, you could proliferate quite a bit of the type of coffee, where it's grown, whether it's ecologically
Yep.
safe or not.
Yep.
All this kind of stuff. And it's just my morning beverage. Anyway, so people get really attached, and self starts to proliferate around I drink the finest coffees, the most aromatic, and I won't stoop to having something like instant. I have instant, but instant, I won't stoop to, people get really, there's about their tastes. There's a lot of identity about what clothes you wear.
Yeah, Ayasobana, well, I mean, you've probably heard the story of the monk who in Thailand, and the head monk had mixed the different curries together and how repulsed he was. Ayasobana, coffee drinker, and people would bring this fine coffee. It'd get ground, and then she'd dump it into the
Folgers.
big Folgers jug and mix it with whatever was in there before. There would be these horrified looks of. So yes, the papancha, the proliferation around something as simple as your morning coffee if you drink it.
Yeah. This is just an example. We're not trying to diss anyone.
Oh, no.
I
No,
mean, it's just like we're all prey to these things.
yeah, and there is an appropriate care when you are choosing what you're going to eat. And these, it's not that you don't attend with care. It's a wise attention. And it's the not going on and on like I am right now about it that becomes detrimental to clear seeing.
So this is talking about refining mindfulness. So instead of being refined about your coffee, we can be refined about our mindfulness. And yeah, it's just like it's I really think it's a good idea to be conscious about supporting the, like a fair trade or something like that. But um uh but what we're talking about here is protecting ourselves from greed, hate, and delusion. So we don't get infatuated.
Yeah.
Or if our identity doesn't get it, if somebody serves us coffee that's not up to snuff, we don't, I mean, we don't blow it out of proportion. It's not like we don't get snobby about it. So we don't remain tightly holding to some concepts. And so then all these feelings are flourishing because of our identity around and our desires and our aversions. And that's originating just from looking at something, just seeing something. And then covetousness, I want it. Annoyance, I don't want it as well. And then by which the mind becomes disturbed. For one who accumulates suffering, thus Nibbāna is said to be far away. So this is, if you're interested in Nibbāna, refine your mindfulness, not your taste for gourmet foods or something like that, or beautiful sights. Okay, Would you read the last sentence?
Having heard a sound with mindfulness muddled, or an odor with mindfulness muddled, enjoying a taste with mindfulness muddled, having felt a contact with mindfulness muddled, having known an object with mindfulness muddled. For one who accumulates suffering thus, Nibbāna is said to be far away. Shall I go on to the positive?
Yeah, you can read the next one because we're...
When firmly mindful, one sees a form. One is not inflamed by lust for forms. One experiences it with dispassionate mind and does not remain holding it tightly. One fares mindfully in such a way that even as one sees the form, and while one undergoes a feeling, suffering is exhausted, not built up. For one dismantling suffering thus, Nibbāna is said to be close by. When firmly mindful, one hears a sound, one is not inflamed by lust for sounds. When firmly mindful, one smells an odor, one is not inflamed by lust for odors. When firmly mindful, one enjoys a taste, one is not inflamed by lust for tastes. When firmly mindful, one feels a contact, one is not inflamed by lust for contacts. When firmly mindful, one knows an object, one is not inflamed by lust for objects. One experiences it with dispassionate mind and does not remain holding it tightly. For one diminishing suffering thus, Nibbāna is said to be close by.
So this knows an object, this has to do with a mental object. This is cognition, the last one. So it's just like the lust for pink elephants.
Right.
With some concept.
Right.
I heard about Hawaii and how beautiful it was and all this kind of thing, and this particular island and all this kind of thing. And, oh, I have to go there and obsessed by it. And I'm, trying to get funds together to go, and I can't think about anything else. That be inflamed by some concept.
Yeah, and it's a case, so what one perceives and then proliferates about is the problem. So in our Vinaya rules, we have rules, gender-based rules around lust for the opposite gender. And like in Thailand, how they support the holding of that rule is like no physical contact ever. A bhikkhuni there would not shake the hand of a male. Here, it's a different culture, and there are times where it felt more appropriate for a work person who's coming to do something, they're introducing themselves. It felt less awkward to shake their hand because there's no lust present on either side. So we're not breaking any Vinaya rule, but someone looking on could be horrified because their sight was of such and they proliferated about it. And my response to them was, after I shook the hand, I let go of the hand.
Oh, there's that whole Zen story
Yep.
too about there's two monks walking along, and there's this lady standing at the edge of this really rushing river, and they're both pretty strong guys, and she's,
She's gonna get swept away. Yeah.
She could be swept away. And so the one monk, the senior monk, he picks up the woman and carries her across and sets her down. And then they're walking for miles later, and the senior monk says, "What's going on with you? You're looking really kind of grouchy or something." He said, "You picked up that woman. That's against our rules, blah, 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 blah." And then it's the senior monk says, "Well, I set her down miles ago. You're still carrying her."
Yeah.
So this is the mind latching onto something. But so back to the sutta here, or it's related what we're talking about, how the mind will latch on. But here we're free because we're not
Inflamed. Not
we're not inflamed, and experience it with a dispassionate mind. And we'll see another translation, so we can discuss this word dispassionate.
Hmm.
It and does not remain holding tightly. So this is the, because it's cool. The mind is cool. And it doesn't mean that we, okay, so we are still feeling, tasting, and one, it says here, even here, when firmly mindful, one enjoys the taste.
Yeah.
So I'm still tasting the food. I have a momentary pleasure, but later on, I'm not saying, oh, I got to have more of that, or how can I get more of that? Or what was the recipe for that? I'm not obsessed. I'm not obsessing about it. Later, I can just let go. So we can keep moving on because the time is
All right.
limited. So I have here the Pali. I just grabbed the Pali. Only one thing I wanted to point out was this Sankita, this concise, brief, or abbreviated teaching. So this is Dhamma, where is it? Sankitena Dhamma De Setu. This is a teaching in brief, a brief Dhamma teaching. And this is frequently requested from the Buddha, and it often triggers awakening. And then this is Bhante Sujato's translation of, I'm just taking little extracts. Hopefully I can understand the meaning of what the Buddha says. Hopefully I can be heir to the Buddha's teaching. And you see here, Bhante Sujato put an exclamation point. And I think there was this sense of urgency.
Mm-hmm.
And he was wishing to be a noble disciple. And it's like he finally seen the error of his ways being, so philosophical and demanding of teaching. He's humbled himself. And then there's this dayada, inheriting, receiving the results of and the real heirs to the Dhamma is when we are able to become noble disciples, some stages of awakening arise. So here is that really pithy teaching. In that case, when it comes to things that ought to be seen, this is a different heard, thought, or known. And Bhante Sujato says known instead of sensed. In the seen may be merely the seen, and the heard will be merely the heard, and the thought will be merely the thought, and the known will be merely the known. So I like sensed better because it's more including of all the senses, 6 senses. So I have this Pali here. Dita Sutta Mutta Vinya Taba. This is the compound word. It's including visible, audible, sensible, and knowable, which can be seen, heard, and sensed and known. So this is a digital dictionary translation, literally to be seen, heard, sensed, and known. And this word mutta, as I said, sense, perceived, thought. So there's the word thought there. Smelled, tasted, touched. And that's commentarial. But sensing, yeah, the most primitive sense is a sense of smell.
Yeah, the known is the one that is the cognized. And then the
Yeah.
thought is the one that was sensed.
Yeah, but in this
And
word mutta,
it includes
it's sensed.
yeah, sensed, perceived.
It could be, and there's cognized. So it's almost redundant to have thought.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
So sensed, I think it makes sense to me to include the other senses, especially when Māluṅkyaputta spoke about all six senses. Okay. So this is, we're getting in more detail to this. When this is the case, when when the seen is only the seen, when the heard is only the heard, when the sensed is only the sense, when the cognized is only the cognized, when that's the case, you won't be by that. When you're not by that, you won't be in that. When you're not in that, you won't be in this life or the next or in between the two. So this is different than Bhante Bodhi's translation. Just this is the end of suffering.
Basically, this is about the taking up of self. So
wait, okay. What's going
on? Yeah, there you go.
Wait. I'm not suggesting anything. I want to copy it.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to just copy, because I know people are looking, if you're reading from Sutta Central, or if you have the hard, see. Okay, so that's, where did it go? Now I'm confusing the case. Oh, this Bhikkhu Bodhi ought to be, I thought I put it where it belongs. There it is. Okay. Why is it gone?
Because you just clicked it.
Because it was supposed to be a comment? Okay.
So you have to leave the comments on to be able to see.
Yeah, sorry about this. I was just trying to compare the two.
Yeah.
More easily.
Yeah, you didn't give edit rights to the passage.
Yeah, I know, I'm not doing it right.
Maybe
okay, so anyway, so we're looking at and then it disappeared again. Is that what it did?
Yeah, I'm not sure why that's happening.
It's not staying. Okay, so there it is.
Okay, so don't click on that or you'll if you there.
Okay, there it goes. Okay, so you won't be, that's pretty much the same. But this is the grammar makes it makes it challenging in Pali to translate it, because some of the same this is pretty similar. I think they've agreed, except for this part here. He's saying in this life or the next or in between the two, it may be assumed, but it is one way of interpreting it. By that, you won't be in that, therein. That's pretty close. And then you won't be neither here nor beyond nor in between the two. And then Bhante Sujato is taking this as according to your rebirth. So this has to do with being close to Nibbāna. So here's this pronoun to toe is that. And then you can be subject or object, but it's not yet atta. If it's free from attachment. So this you is a conventional you, and there would be no you, is one way of looking at it.
Yeah.
That you are not there. So this you arises in regards to the objects of the senses. So either that you're subject or object to these senses. This is in my hand. I am in contact with this cup. This is my cup. Then the ego starts arising. I have to have it. Or I can share this cup. And I'm such a great person because I actually gave the cup away. You won't want this. Anyway, so yeah, so there's that aspect of it.
Earlier, it talks about the mind being agitated or irritated or, those types of words. It's a matter of what we're seeing here is in the creation of the self. Next time you do it, because you probably will, feel it. Feel the sense of what it is to self. And you'll find that that is an agitation. And that agitation doesn't lead to freedom. It leads to more becoming or more pushing away. I think that's a summary of what this by it, in it, here nor there nor in between.
Or as Bhante Sujato is saying, it's also won't be in this life or next or in between.
Mm-hmm.
So the you in this life, if you're an arahant, there's this sense of self that's created around attachment to the sensory world.
And it does not mean that enjoyment is gone. It means that enjoyment is not clung to.
So this is the end of suffering. Sounds simple, but
It is.
but yeah, to bring our awareness, and this is bringing the mindfulness for acute
Acute
to what's
mindfulness.
going on, so we can dismantle. Let's just talk about dismantling suffering instead of piling it up. When we see things clearly and we're able to let go because of we're recognizing what's going on. So here I have when you see a sight, mindfulness is lost. This is Bhante Sujato's translation of muddled mindfulness. And so there's this muta, which is rather than sati, forgotten, confused, lost. As you focus on the pleasant features, so pia is a deer, it can imply attachment. And then nimitang, if you remember from last week, we talked about the signs, like attaching to the signs and features. And then manasi karoto. So this is a incorrect application of the mind, because you're focusing on what's pleasant, and then you experience it with a mind full of desire. I didn't get all the Pali here. You keep clinging to it. Many feelings grow arising from sights. The mind is damaged by covetousness and cruelty. Heaping up suffering like this, you're said to be far from extinguishment. I guess I got the order here backwards, but there's no desire for ideas. When you know an idea with mindfulness, experience it with mind free of desire, even as you know it and an idea, and get familiar with how it feels. You wear away, you don't heap up. That's how to live mindfully. Eroding suffering like this, you're said to be in the presence of extinguishment. So this is a extinguishment of the fires of greed, hate, and delusion. So this is Nibbāna. Sankite Nibbāna Wuchati. And that's how Bhante Sujato is translating Nibbāna as extinguishment. And it's the putting out the flames of greed, hate, and delusion, and freed from, this is actually, I took some notes when I was hearing Sobana's talk, freed from the delusion of being a product of sense experience, subject or object in relation to the senses. I added that part. Not me, not mine. And this is Bhante Bodhi's. When firmly mindful, one knows one is not inflamed by lust for objects of the senses. For one, diminishing suffering, thus, Nibbāna is said to be close by. And then this is Māluṅkyaputta. In such a way, sir, I understand the detailed meaning of what was stated by the Blessed One. And the Buddha congratulates him and then repeats the whole thing that he said verbatim. And then Venerable Māluṅkyaputta, having rejoiced in the Blessed One's word, rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Blessed One, kept him on his right. He departed, then dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent, and resolute, the Venerable Māluṅkyaputta, by realizing it for himself with direct knowledge, in this very life entered and dwelt in the unsurpassed goal of the holy life for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth. Anyone, those who go forth,
Sadhu.
uh,
Became.
he directly knew the story of his birth, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done. There's no more for the state of being. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And Māluṅkyaputta became one of the arahats.
Sadhu.
So I don't think we have time for Bahia, but I just wanted to point out there's something in this one that's so beautiful that Bahia saw the Buddha and he said that this is a Venerable Jyotipala's translation. He saw the gracious one was walking for alms, confident, inspiring confidence, with sense faculties at peace, mind at peace, having attained supreme self-control and calm, controlled, guarded, with restrained faculties, a true Naga.
Sadhu.
So then the same teaching is in Bahia, but we could look at this next week.
That sounds lovely.
So we could stop the screen share now. And I don't know if we could put it on gallery view. And if anybody wants to share or say, have a question. Let's see, Susan is saying something.
Susan's just not.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know I was, no, I'm just listening. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Oh, you were just accidentally unmuted. Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Let's see, I can mute.
It's good. She's done it. It's good. She's already done it, Aya.
Okay, all right.
I forgot you can't hear me.
So does anyone have a comment or question?
This is a sutta that you can spend the week cogitating on, but more importantly, practicing with, noticing when does this selfing, I call it selfing, a verb, when does that arise? What does it feel like when it arises? Is it supportive for my practice when it arises?
So also along with that, I think notice too, when the scene is only the scene, when I just see the cup and I'm just seeing the cup, or I'm just feeling when I'm washing the dishes, I'm just feeling the water on my hands and the sense of the dishes, the weight of the dishes, the hardness of the dishes, the smoothness, and then I'm just noticing this and I'm carefully noticing there's still some coffee in it, so I'll spill it out. But you're using your mindfulness to navigate through the world, to care for things, but notice too when there's no proliferation or you can notice that too. That helps reinforce that.
Yes. Yes, notice
But
the
notice
peacefulness.
I'm washing the dishes and then it's suddenly, well, I'm the only one that washes dishes around here, blah, 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 blah. And so noticing irritation coming up in my mind, I go, oh, okay. That's not restraint of the senses. Yeah, okay. That's not a wholesome arising of mental data. It's like, okay. So so if no one has a hand or a
Yeah, you can bring up more once we go off the
let's see,
for
there's
later.
something in
Yeah,
the
that's for later.
chat.
So yes, we can have
Okay, so
off YouTube time
Okay, so
after we
we'll
pay
we'll
homage.
close now with it, and then we'll stay on after we end the YouTube session with people who are here live. Araham Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivadi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sangha Sangham Namaskar.